You always had a queen by your side.
Come on in.
You know I'm ready to ride. Sipping with that smoke on the side. Say what they want, what they like. You always had a queen by your side.
Ain't no confusion, baby.
You know I'm ready to ride.
Always I'm with you, baby.
Sipping with that smoke on the side.
We keep it easy, baby.
Say what they want, what they like.
We keep it 100, baby. Y'all come on in, share the video. Come on in, come on in. I know y'all getting notifications. I just got it on my phone. We keep it 100, baby. We keep it 100, baby. Come on in.
For my king, live for my king, give me a bell, wings and I'll fly. For my king,
Come on in. Share the video. We got Officer David Bennett in the house today. Y'all see him? Come on in here. How you doing, Sarah? How you doing, brother? Come on in tonight. If they come on here with that bullshit tonight, block their ass. This is my goddamn Oakland, and we ain't gonna tolerate no David Bennett disrespect, and that's how we're. Cause the ass come up here with that bullshit, and this is my uncle on here. He a good cop. Hold up, that's 1 second. I got something for your ass. You got, I just took it out. But anyway, if you try, you gonna meet this bitch right here tonight. You see what I'm saying? You gonna meet her. Here. So come on in and start a video and let's have a good time. Hey, Milda. What's up, Sante? Come on in, Marquita. Come on in, Jada. Come on in. Got a little eye candy on here tonight. You know what I'm saying? Period. You know, he came from good jeans and he came from good stock material. He came from good jeans and good stock. So, you know, come on in. Share the video. I don't know what y'all watching tonight. Come on in. Oh, because I'm on somebody's business too. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Look at Brittany. Come on in, Brittany. Brittany said, how you get up on there? Baby, because he is one of upstanding top in the community, and we need him on here. Him. That's why he on here, child. Come on in, Lord, y'all. You tear up. Take them eyes. Get them eyes out the way before they get you in trouble, because you ain't fucking where he at. Get them eyes out.
I'm gonna keep it rocking till I R.I.P.
Hey, cousins, y'all, come on in. You finna go on, get started, child. I'm trying to be out. I see them eyes, y'all, putting down here. Come on in. Demetrius. Come on in, child. Come on in. So, you know, I'm gonna let y'all keep sharing the video. Y'all coming in slow. I'm gonna let y'all keep sharing the video. You know where I tell y'all about who this is up here. Period. So, while y'all put y'all eyes on there, you know, and everything, I like to. We were supposed to have 2 cops on here, but my cousin went rogue. I don't know where he is, but I got my dependable uncle on here. Child, y'all these goddamn eyes. Child. But anyway, I got my uncle on here, Officer David Bennett, and he is one of the good cops. I had to get somebody, one of the good cops, somebody who can really, child, look at these folks. Y'all just, you know what? Quit being fast so I can introduce the man. So I got my uncle on here. I'm not gonna introduce him. I'm gonna let him introduce himself and tell you guys who he is. But he is one of the good cops. He ain't now one of the ones for the knee on the nigga neck and all that. Woo, y'all look at talking loud. Y'all know what? We're trying to talk about police brutality and not about this. Mr. Bennett, I'm just gonna ask you to go on and introduce yourself. Ooh.
To everyone, I'm Deputy David Bennett. I'm one of the deputies here in Marengo County, Alabama. I've been doing this now around 14 years, so that's pretty much it. That's it.
Okay. All right. So, first question I want to ask you, Unc, is Miss Officer Bennett. I want to ask you, how did you get started in law enforcement? What made you want to become a policeman?
Well, once I finished high school, I left home and went off into the military. I served my country. So after I came back, I don't know, I just decided I wanted to serve my community. So I got in law enforcement back in 2006 and still in it today. So that's pretty much my background of the reason I want to become in law enforcement.
Okay. So what do you like most about your job?
What I like most about my job really is just it's a whole lot. Serving my community. I mean, meeting different people, um, getting out, just meeting people, and that's basically it. You get out, you meet people, you protect and you serve. That's basically what it is.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna get these questions out the way. Because first I'm gonna talk about the stuff that's going on. So, how do you feel about the climate that's going on right now between the public and the police? How do you feel about the police brutality that's going on? Is that something that you see where in the jurisdiction you work in?
No, actually, I I don't see the police brutality here where I'm working at. I'm not saying that it's not here, but me personally, I hadn't witnessed it. And to the other part of the question, how do I feel about it? First of all, I feel like we need each other. The community need law enforcement just as well as law enforcement need the community. I
Right.
mean, it's nothing that we can do, nothing that we can solve without the help of the community. And we need to reunite. The community and law enforcement need to reunite, learn how to respect each other, learn how to get along. And I think the world will be a better place.
Do you think the media has anything to do with the way that the police are perceived?
Most definitely. I mean, if you look at it, you don't, the media, you're going to always put out 90% of the bad things that goes on in law enforcement. It's always something they're going to put out to try to make law enforcement look bad in certain incidents. But it's not all bad. People fail to realize it's not all bad. I mean, we as law enforcement, we do things that actually that is good, especially in the community. I mean, you might see a little old lady with a flat tire. I mean, you get out and you change her tire, something. I mean, it's you got to, like I said earlier, we got to create this bond and the respect and trust again, because the community now is they don't trust police, and that's the whole thing. We got to establish that trust with each other, and I think the community and law enforcement will be a better. I mean, I think they'll be able to work a little better with each other.
And how do you think that we should go about trying to get that? What do you think should happen, or what ideas do you think, that you could come up with that you think should happen so that we can regain that trust? Because there
Right.
is no trust, none. Because I got pulled over, and I ain't pulled over until I got to the gas station. I was like, look, if you gonna kill me, you gonna kill me in front of everybody, because
I,
it's just that distrust.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. First of all, what we're going to have to establish, regardless of what, who, where, or when, first thing we're going to have to establish, we're going to have to establish respect for each other. If law enforcement can respect the community, just as well as community respect law enforcement, like I said, things will get better. Me personally, that's my personal feeling. That's the only way we're going to get better. I mean, think about it. If every police officer on every traffic stop or every situation would treat the situation as it was their own child or own family, things would be different. Now it's gonna be certain incidents where, yeah, you're not gonna be able to treat a person with all your kindness or whatever, because you got some people out there that just don't like police. But what you got to do, what I feel like you got to realize is that if you treat a person like a person or treat people like people, I think the connection will start to grow. But if every time you pull a person over, a person get pulled over, and you mistreat them just because you wear the uniform, you wear the badge, you wear the gun, we'll never gain that trust and respect from the community ever again. So, like I said, I'm gonna always go back to the thing that we call respect. If you don't have respect for your next man, the next human being, it's gonna always be a problem when it comes to law enforcement and your community. We'll never build that bridge back.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let me ask you this. On a day-to-day basis, as you're going out and you are serving your community, do you have a innate fear, or when you're going to do your job, or you fear? Because it seems like a lot of police officers, when they're pulling people over or when people are getting killed, it seems to me, on the outside looking in, that they're acting out of fear. It's always like this: don't move, put your hand right there, don't move, you move. And next thing you know, it's a gun, because a person don't, you like, damn, nigga, you want me to give you the ID or the registration or the license or what? Because I don't know if I need to, and I need you to answer that. And I also need you to answer, what is proper protocol when you get pulled over? Because you know, my first thing to do is call somebody and let them know I done got pulled over. I'm gonna keep you on hold right here in case I don't make it. You can hear the whole thing. So what's that's the first question, and then about the fear, and then what is the proper protocol when you get pulled over? Because it's like both of us are scared. That what the blue side scared, and the people scared.
I mean, when you talk about fear, as I go to different calls, different incidents, or whatever, no, I'm not gonna say it's fear, but you always have that thought in the back of your head is, and you got to always keep your mind clear of. You never knows what's around the corner, especially when it's law enforcement. So you prepare yourself. You try to prepare me personally. I try to run different scenarios through my head in everything I do. I don't care what it is, 911 call, burglary call, a cat up the tree. I try to run different scenarios through my mind, and what that does is keep my mind occupied. Where I know when I get out of my vehicle, I ain't got to have my hand on my gun, unless, like I said, in certain incidents, you really do. But I don't call it, to me personally, I don't call it a fear. I call it, like I said, I put the scenarios in my head, and like I said, it's gonna always goes back where you got to respect that person, even though you pulling them over. You still got to treat people like people, and goes back to this protocol thing that you was telling me about. I mean, the fear. Any person being pulled over by the police officer, you have rights. Don't let a police, just because I'm a police and I'm pulling you over, you still have your rights. If you feeling uncomfortable, like you said, you keep going. I blue light you. You turn your lights on. You go to the store. You want to get somewhere safe. Understandable. Even if I pull you over and you're not comfortable, you have the right to ask me for a supervisor, my supervisor. You even got a right to call 911. Have 911 send another officer to the location. Make sure that the situation is comfortable for you. And I mean, always, regardless of whatever, it goes back to that respect. If you respect the law enforcement officer should be respecting you as a human. That's me now. That's the way I look at everything. But everybody don't look at everything the way I do. But that's just me. So it's like I said, it's not a fear. But yet, remember, if you're being pulled over by the police officer, remember, you still have rights. You still have rights. Are you uncomfortable? Just let them know it. Officer, I'm uncomfortable. Can you get your supervisor here? Or can I call 911 and have somebody on the phone while you make this traffic stop? Or make sure that person have his body cam on or anything. So make sure that you're safe. And then anything that you feel like is uncomfortable that you're doing that he instructed you to do, just tell him. No, I don't feel comfortable me reaching in my glove compartment where my weapon is to get my insurance card. Tell them, nah, I don't want to do that. If you want the insurance card, you come around, go in the glove compartment, and get the insurance card yourself. So, but make sure that, like I said, but make sure that you are comfortable. And if you're not, like I said, ask for another officer, ask for his supervisor, dial 911. Like you said, call somebody on the phone. Let somebody hear your conversation. Ask them, make sure they body cameras on. So don't feel like just because you getting pulled over, you don't have any rights, but you still have all your rights.
Okay. All right. So, and we want to welcome. Come on in, cuz Officer Jenkins. He
I apologize. My charger is having issues with my internet.
He came on in. I said, Lord, my cousin ran rogue, but I knew when you came.
No, I wasn't gonna do nothing. If I said I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it.
I appreciate you coming on in. Cuz, can you properly introduce yourself to the people and let them know where you work at and I guess what jurisdiction or district that you work in?
Okay, my name is Officer Jenkins, Don Jenkins. I work for Birmingham, Alabama Police Department. I work on the East Precinct on the east side.
Okay, and how long have you been doing law enforcement?
I've been doing law enforcement roughly 2 years now.
See, this is good because we got two perspectives. We're going to have a perspective of a veteran and a perspective of a rookie. Okay, so the questions that I was asking Officer Bennett, I asked him, what do he like most about his job?
Well, I like most about it, you have our prior military, serving on a bigger stage like that. You really don't get to see the impact that you're making towards individuals. As a law enforcement officer, you come across way more people, you're getting way more stuff, so you're able to see the impact you're making towards the community. You're able to see the change and the difference you're making each and every day when you're out here. You have your long days, you have your days like, man, I don't know, I'm tired of it. But then, it's that them good days that outweigh the bad days when people are actually positively thankful for your service and thankful for what you've done for them. And a lot of times, don't be that you went out your way to do is who you are and what you've done, and they appreciate it because you're not like what they see on TV or what they think they know about law enforcement.
Okay, what made you want to get into it, Officer Jenkins?
My younger brother Jonathan, he working for Troy Police Department at the time. And I just came back from a deployment. He was in my ear about it. He was like, man, you should do law enforcement. I wasn't so big, like I'm gonna do it. But then I had to sit down, prayed on it. I was like, well, we'll see where it takes me. But for me, when I started, I just keep on with it, and so that's why I've been in ever since.
So you love it?
I love it. I said I like it. I said, being in Birmingham, it's we're one of the biggest municipalities in the state. We busy. I work on the busy side of town, on the rough side of towns, in the department. So we be rocking and rolling, but it's nothing I wouldn't change though. Like I said, I do what I'm supposed to do. I feel like people are receptive how I police towards them in their communities. My side town I work in the communities. I work in the rough side, mostly rough, lower income areas. Everybody know me and love me because I do what I'm supposed to do. So I don't really have fear like, oh, I gotta look over my shoulder. Stuff going, people come to me. So it makes my job a lot easier when they trust, they have faith in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what we were just talking about the trust in the community. So let me ask both of you guys a question. So when you're pulled over on when you're on your job, are you black first or an officer first?
I'm a professional. You know what I'm saying? That's a good question. I'm a professional. I'm a black man for anything, of course. But when I police, I understand my community majority African American. So when I pull somebody over, I've been there. I've now always been an officer. So I say I'm black first. I already know normal reaction or normal how people gonna respond to being pulled over, or certain things. I've been that person. I know policy. I wasn't speeding, but I don't have a radar gun. I don't know what they were doing. Like I've been that person. I've been ignorant to what policing was before I really had a crisp understanding of it per se.
Okay, same question to you, Officer Bennett.
I would say I'm I'm black first, and I would say like I'm black in a profession of law enforcement. I'm gonna always be black. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna always be in law enforcement, but I'm gonna always be black. But on the same thing, on the same level, there's nothing wrong with being black and nothing wrong with being in law enforcement. You got to have respect for black, white, yellow, brown. It doesn't matter. If you have that respect as a person and you can treat a person as a human being, it really doesn't matter what color you are. I don't think.
What I mean by that is when I say, are you black first or an officer? Say if you was in a situation where maybe your white counterparts or your white coworkers was doing some bullshit, something that you know that they shouldn't be doing, and maybe it was a little racist or biased against a black person. At that point, when you see them doing that wrong, are you a black man or are you an officer first?
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. I'm if it's something, I said anything immoral, I'm always gonna be a man for anything. You know, if I feel like something done wrong, some like I said, through the line of racism or something I just don't agree with, even though I'm an officer, I'm gonna pull him, I'm gonna stop it where it's at and nip it in the bud right then and there. Because in the day, you're not, my job is my job, I got it. But at the same time, other people understand the culture behind it. Like I said, yeah, like Dave said, it shouldn't be about what color you are, but in that we know certain things, you know, people play at that line and do questionable stuff in front of you. You know, and it's funny you say I have a white counterpart who I ride with each and every day, and we don't have an issue because when I first met, I told him when it comes anything, I would never let race divide us. I would never let race come in between us. So we always, that comes to us being officers on that side. But if it's some race-wise, we ain't had situations before, people are trying to call him out his name or try to pull the race car on him, and he's not like that. I've had to step up and be like, hold what you got. And when people get who's black, and I'll tell them like, because I'm black, I'm not gonna agree with you if your actions not justify what you're doing.
Right.
And that's how I nip in the butt right there. You know, so I guess, you know, yeah, that's a great question. You know, and as I say, I'm gonna be black first if it's something I know that doesn't add up or equal, but same time I'm gonna come right behind the professional if they're in the wrong as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a professional thing. Yeah, if I got a counterpart, whether he's black or white, and I feel that he's doing something that we shouldn't be doing, yeah, by all means, yes, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna nip it in the bud. We need to get that stop right then. It don't need to be no when all over. Hey man, we shouldn't have done it like that. We should have done no.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's one of the problems in law enforcement. When a person sit back and just let something happen or goes too far, we got to stop it then and there. I'm not gonna let a white officer, I'm not gonna let a black officer mistreat a black person, a white person. It's not that. Like I said, it all goes back to the respect thing. If you have respect for any human being, and if every situation that you deal with, you got to sit back and think about, would I allow that to happen to my child? Or would you want that to happen to your child? Would you want that to happen to your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad? So in order to fix it, if you fix it right then, 9 times out of 10, if that situation ever comes up again, I think it'll be handled different. That person is not gonna go there with that person if you're going to nip it in the bud then. But you thinking about later and something else come up and you forget all about it, then that incident could occur again. But if you're going to nip it in the bud right then, I think everything will be all right.
Okay.
Yes, that's a great point. You know, you have situations. Some officers, I know I can speak in my department, are scared to hurt other officers' feelings when they're wrong on the scene. Jink ain't scared. And then people be surprised. No, you're not. If you're wrong, I'm gonna say you're wrong. I want you to do the same for me. Like I said, if you don't cure it, then you don't stop. Then all you doing put a band-aid, the wound gonna open back up, and it's gonna happen again, and you're gonna feel like you should have said something back then, but it's too late then.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah.
Is there really like a gang culture in law enforcement? Is there really like you know, it's us civilians, we feel like it's kind of like a gang culture in law enforcement. It seems as if like everybody ride for everybody, and like not you two, because I know y'all different me, but in most like seem like in most in the police culture, it seemed like it's like a big, it's like a gang. Because like even when I was out here and I went to Atlanta to the protest, and I also went to the protest here in Vegas. And when I was out there, it just seemed like if the police was doing some fucked up shit, like say they kept making us run, right? Because they didn't want us on the strip. And you know, for Vegas, that's where the money is. It's on the strip. So they wouldn't let us protest in the street. Then they moved us to the sidewalk. And it was like, if we didn't move fast enough, or if when they would walk towards us, if we didn't run, like they was chasing people, they was throwing people on the damn ground, they was slamming women. One girl teeth got knocked out because she hit her mouth when she went down. And it's like when it happens, I saw if you go back and watch the video, the policemen, they'll like make a line. Like when they doing some fucked up shit, they make a little line around the person so you can't, if somebody getting beat up, so you can't see them. And it's like so much bullshit is condoned, and you don't see from what I saw. You know, I never saw anybody pull somebody to the side and say, "Hey, don't throw her to the ground like that." Or, "Hey, she was just filming." Or, you know, like didn't nobody check nobody. Like you could see how some people will probably look at the police, but then nobody's really vocal about checking anybody. The only person I ever seen get checked was that lady that was in Atlanta that we saw. When that white police officer shoved that lady when she was sitting down, and she went and grabbed him and she checked his ass and took him over there and was like, "Hey, we ain't doing that. That ain't right. We ain't doing that." So is there really like, maybe not at your department, but you know, since you've been in the business for a while, Officer Bennett, is there like a gang culture? Is it true that there's like a gang culture in law enforcement?
Me personally, the experience that you had, I never experienced it. And to answer your question, me personally, I don't think it's a game. I don't think police is a game, because here's the thing. I mean, Las Vegas and Alabama is totally different. I don't know their laws. I can't speak on nothing that happened because I wasn't there. But it's gonna always go back to what I told you from the very beginning of this interview. If you can respect a person, everything's gonna be all right. But if you don't have respect for a person, we're gonna always have this problem. I mean, every day that I get up, I look at it as I'm a civilian part of the day. I'm law enforcement the other part. I know they said, well, you law enforcement, you policing 24. No, that's not true. Not for me. Not personally, not me. I police. When I police, I want to go home and be with my family as a civilian, as a man, as a husband, a dad, or whatever. But me personally, I don't think it's a game. I never experienced that part in law enforcement. Yeah, I mean, you gonna, like Officer Jenkins said, my partner, yeah, I got his back. As long as he right, I'm there with him 100. But then once he's crossed that threshold where he's crossed over and in the wrong, then like I said, I got to check him and get him back in line. I pray if I got crossed the line that he would check me and get me back in line.
Done.
So yeah. So like I said, I think people misunderstand some. You know, it's a thin blue line. What a lot of people say, you know, thin blue line. So it's a brotherhood, sisterhood type of individual thing. But some people will take that and run with it per se. Group, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, if it's my brother, my coworker, you're supposed to not let anything come between y'all. But at the same time, we're family. I should be able to tell you if you're wrong or not. Like I said, we had the riots up here in Birmingham, and this is my first time ever. You know, you see something on TV You being shot at, you getting bricks thrown at you. You know, it's like, boy, it's really happening. Like, I got called in the word. I'm like, this is really happening. I saw it in Atlanta. You know, my sister called me, y'all going? I'm like, nah, they ain't gonna do it in Birmingham. And next thing you know, I'm on the ride team too. So I'm like,
wow,
man, the chief had to talk to us. Oh, it's about to go down. I get the call. You know, and you see a lot of people. We had situations. You know, I'm the type of person I pull. If you got some people who naturally get caught up, get hyped up in their emotions while policing. They will get a lot of people in trouble. They police with their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't allow that to happen because you'll get besides that when you have to have a good partner, somebody to realize you're doing that to stop you before you get too far gone. You know, we had situations when we was out there riding, and person, regardless of how wrong they are, if they already cuffed, it don't need to give them excessive force. You already got them detained. It's don't need to do nothing extra, but take them where you should have taken them to. You know, you'll get people that want to talk crazy to them. I ain't told other officers, stop talking crazy. Stop being vindictive and talking crazy to people. They already cuffed. You ain't got to feel like you're bigger than them because in the day you're not always in uniform. And I tell people, you never know when you're running across somebody you ain't arrested or did wrong.
Exactly.
And I came across plenty of people in Birmingham, super big. But I came across plenty of people I ain't arrested. And they'll come to me and remind me who they are and thank you. And I ain't took these jokers to jail before because I ain't mistreat them. I ain't put the hands on. I have grown people, 20 years old, 21 years old, and they got parents they stay with. I'll call the parents and let them know where they at. So they won't have to worry about me putting my hands on them when they've been mistreated on the way to jail. Even though I got a body cam, I call the parents like, they made it safe. I don't owe them that, but that's how I operate because it keeps the confusion down. So stuff goes south. They ain't gonna point things like, oh, Officer Jenkins. No, they know how Officer Jenkins get down. They can trust and believe I'm gonna make sure stuff right when I'm there.
Right. I love y'all. I respect y'all. Let's see. Are officers trained to be more aggressive towards certain nationalities?
No.
So, and are you guys trained? Is it the same training across the board? Like if you in New York, y'all do the same thing okay. So
no.
How does so it's different? So they train you different in different states. It's different.
Yeah.
Yep. Cause you got laws. The laws different. Like I've been saying, laws in every city, every state is a little bit different. And so some cities where people feel understand. First thing, once again, I used to be guilty before I became a cop. Oh, it ain't policy. They can't do it. It ain't policy. But do you know the actual department's policy for real though? It's like, for instance, I don't know if you remember when they had the black individual who was caught stealing at a store. They took him into jail by horseback. 2 officers had him was sitting on horseback. They had him on the rope. I don't know if you remember, that was a big thing in the news, but the issue was that was within their department policy. They were allowed to do that. And the department instantly rewrote it, but thing was, it was still within their policy. So to society, they ain't look good. But in actuality, the cops went wrong. So they're getting crucified for doing what they policy allowed them to do. And that's the issue we have across the board with a lot of older departments. They so caught, even our department was caught in old times. They depart the way the policy wrote up. Some things you could do, but it's not fulfilling to society at the time. So it made the public, that's not right. You can't do it. Like whole knee and neck thing. Some departments will let you put your knee on the neck to gain mobility, gain control of the suspect. Does it look good? Now, does it look good? Probably not. But at the same time, it's within that department's policy.
So let me ask you this. So what do y'all think about what happened with George Floyd? With the putting the knee in the neck and come on, Officer Jenkins, because you got something.
So I feel like if that was in their policy, which I haven't looked at their policy, that was in their policy. Okay, cool. You got knee in that. But once you already had gained control of him and got him cuffed, he should have been sat up. Now you're rendering aid to him. Regardless, murder, killers, rapists, don't matter. They still have rights at the end of the day, even after they commit their crime.
Exactly.
People they still got rights. So you can't feel like I'm gonna take their rights away because they didn't commit a crime. Because we ain't all perfect. Not saying it's different when you're affected by it, but at the same time, they have rights. So once he had them, then he gained control. It's 4 officers on one guy. It was no need for him to still be on the ground.
Right.
I would pull them up and say, no, you got 2 officers that knew they didn't know no better. I got it. I can understand them to a certain extent, but in the day, reasonably, the other officer who had more than enough experience should be like, hey, let's go and sit him up, put him in the car. Because the thing is, you already know what you're gonna do with them. If you know you're gonna charge them with theft or fraud, wherever it's gonna be, it's no need for them to still be on the ground. I mean, no need to.
No need.
For 8 minutes, there's no need. If I gain control of a guy, once I unscuffle, I ain't had plenty. We call it use of forces. I had to scuffle with a guy, run behind a guy, tase a guy, this stuff. I've done everything with them. I've been justified for all my actions, and I make sure I do it within the policy. Don't do no extra, so I'm covered. Because the thing is, people gonna look at it. Society gonna judge you by what you do, regardless they understand or not.
How you feel about it, Officer Bennett?
Well, as Officer Jenkins was saying, in a situation like that, you have a person detained. You have him cuffed behind his back. I mean, what else can that person do? I mean, what harm is he gonna cause a police officer? With his hand, he's laying face down and handcuffed behind his back. I mean, what danger that our officers should feel in a situation like that? Like I said, like he was saying, I don't know their policy. I don't know what their policy were. But once you detain a person and you got their hands behind their back, like he said, you already know if you're going to arrest them, you're going to take them to jail or whatever. I was always taught, you get that person, get them in your car, and get them out of there. You don't have a scene out there in the streets, because what's going to happen is you're going to get a whole lot of people start coming in and saying this and saying that and then some people can't take that pressure. Some people have to feel like they have to be in charge of that authority, or that they want to be the person that's in control. If you're gonna be in control, do your job. Arrest the person, handcuff him, put him in the car, and take him on where you're gonna take him. Period. But a lot of things, I feel, me personally, I can't speak for nobody else, me personally, in situations like this and situations that's related to this, I feel like a lot of officers feel like at the end of the day, they got to get every bad guy. They got to win every situation.
Right.
Trust me, I done had guys run from me. I couldn't catch him, but I didn't get mad when I saw that person again the next time and try to do something to harm that person because he got away from me the first time. I mean, like I said, you got to treat people like people. We're not gonna win. You're not gonna win every time. You're not gonna get the bad guy every time something happens. You're not gonna get the bad guy. Trust me. It's probably a higher percentage that the bad guy get away than it is than we catching them. A whole lot higher.
Right.
I mean, but the thing of it is, you always get to chase that guy again the next day, versus causing harm to a person, getting yourself in a situation where you get jammed up and it's too late. So a lot of times in a situation like that, if you got a person apprehended, like I said, you got him cuffed, you get him up, put him in your car, you take him to jail, and you charge him. If that person happen to get away from you and he get away from you today, you hunt him again next time. Sooner or later you will catch him. Sooner or later his luck gonna run out. And that's the way you got to look at it. You can't look at it, yeah, you got away from me this time, but buddy, the next time I see you, I'm gonna make sure you suffer. No, it's not like that. It shouldn't be like that.
Right.
We're not police. If you're a law enforcement officer, listen, you're not gonna win every time. We're not gonna win all the time. Not when it comes to a situation like that.
Ain't no way, Jack.
So the best thing to do is a lot of times you take a step back, blow off a little steam, say, dog, man, that joker got away from it, and you and your partner laugh about it and go on and finish your shift. But don't get out here and go to mistreating people just because we wear that badge and we wear that gun and we wear the uniform and went to school for training for a couple months. Don't get out and mistreat people, because like he said, everybody that you arrest this week while you're in uniform, you might see that person next week when you're not in uniform. then what?
Right.
So you got to treat people like people. You're not gonna win all the time, and that's it. That's basically it. It's just your luck. You might be lucky today. Tomorrow you might not be so lucky. So just remember, treat people the way people should be treated. You're not gonna win all the time, and that's it.
Okay. And it's okay, as long as you get to live to fight another day.
Exactly. You live to fight another day.
Right. So
I live to chase another day.
Right.
I'll put it like that. Live to chase another day.
Because a lot of these police officers that I be seeing, they be shooting people in the back. That's because they fat ass be tired. Because now they'll start off running. They'll start out. Now I said this before. They'll start off running behind a person, and they be like, "Look, motherfucker, you want to hop a fence? Ping!" You know what I'm saying? I ain't hopping no goddamn fence behind your ass. And then next thing you know, the person is shot because of pure laziness. From some of the things our son is the police officer just pretty lazy. Instead of doing like Officer Bennett said, you know what, fuck it. We'll fight another little long, we can fight a little another day. We ain't get that nigga this time, we'll get him next time. They'll shoot them just because that pride get in the way.
They're not accomplished in their training. And that's the issue you have in some departments. You have some officers, even officers who I don't work with, and the issue is we go do all this training, but a lot of people don't keep up with their training. Like for me and Officer Bennett, we prior military. We were more tactical coming in already out the gate.
Right.
Yeah.
So I came from deployment, Iraq, Kuwait, saying they dropping mortars, you hear. So tactically, I'm already there. So it's gonna take a little bit more for me to get stirring up and shooken up with handguns. I got more patience. So you have a lot of young officers, older officers, like I said, either out of shape, and the only thing they can do is go to handguns because they can't stop them no other way. They get scared, they get flustered because they're not confident or proficient in their training. Right. And I fall back on the department, seeing them red flags, and somebody beside them who worked with them telling a supervisor about it. Because we had like every department got that guy who's not in shape, who can't chase nobody, who got the biggest ego of everybody else out there, but can't stop, can't bust a break. And that's a problem with some officers and law. They are a reflection of us, unfortunately.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this question, because Coco Brownlee has a question, and it's a very good question, especially living in Alabama. Are you guys aware of officers within your department that are KKK affiliated?
Me personally, I'm not aware of that. There's any in mind. Like I say, all the guys I work with, we own a little small department, only a little small sheriff department. It's not many of us. Me personally, me and my partner, which is a black guy. I mean, we talk on a daily basis, we work or whatever. We try to, in certain situations, we try to get along and handle the situation that we have in hand. But for as KKK affiliated, no, I'm not gonna say that there are officers that work with me with the KKK. I can't say that. I have no proof of that. It really never crossed my mind, to be honest with you, because I look at what I personally try to do. Everybody that I work at, I try to look at them as a brother and my sister, and like he said earlier, yeah, it's the thin blue line, but we are a family, and if you can't correct your family, you sure can't correct nobody in the street. You can't correct a stranger. So me dealing with all the people I work with, we got a mixture of whites and black. No, I don't think personally that none of the guys that I work with are actually in my department affiliated with KKK.
Officer Jenkins?
Yeah, so my department, we got one of the biggest departments in the state. I can't sit and tell you I know somebody who affiliated with it, or I saw somebody who I feel maybe affiliated with it. Because I really don't. I said I deal with my partner. He's a white individual. He a country boy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no issue with him. He ain't did anything to raise no red flag to me. You know what I'm saying? I can't say it may be an individual in our department. You never know. One thing about people, they're not gonna always show their true colors around you.
Right.
I don't know what everybody outside agenda is. I may do stuff outside of work, not necessarily illegal, what people may not agree with. So I can't say like I know what Officer such do from West Precinct, North Precinct, or what, you know, I really don't know. I can't say with confidence, no, it's nobody affiliated with it. Because in the day, it's always that you keep that reasonable doubt. Like when you first start dating a person, like, wait, no, they may possibly cheat on me. I'm gonna keep that a little bit down in the back of my mind. So if it happened, I won't be hurt, be surprised. And that's how it would come to that. You know, before I started policing, definitely in Birmingham, you know, Birmingham one of the historic sites, you know what I'm saying, civil rights movement. And my department started as an all-white department. So, you know, when I tell people, I mean, I take pride in being part of my department because it's now ran, you know, we had last couple of seasons been African-American males. Our mayor's African-American, our DA's African-American. So, you know, you have to take pride in that. But in the day, you know, you're going to have individuals, even though they may work for an organization, they still may try to cut your back out because they don't like who's in charge. So I haven't ran across that person yet, but I'm pretty sure it's somebody lurking within behind that badge that we just don't know about.
Right. So with all of the things that you guys have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially you, Officer Jenkins, being in a bigger precinct in a bigger city, is there counseling that's provided to officers that go through like traumatic kind of stuff? Are you guys required to do counseling? And we also wanted to know if there is like a alcohol and drug problem amongst officers, which I think is a valid question because I mean, dealing with murder and you know, some of the stuff that you guys see when you come on the scene as far as like murder or suicide or death or kids getting killed and things like that. Do you know of officers that have been driven to maybe do drugs or they're alcoholic or anything like that because of the job, because of what goes on the job?
Well, personally, I like I said, I work in a small department. I'm not gonna say that everybody in my department they are alcohol free. I can't speak for them. Only I can speak for myself on this situation. Since I've been policing, yeah, I have seen. Trust me, I have seen a lot of things. I mean, I've seen things where, yeah, I have nightmares about it. True, but as of me personally, that hadn't led me to drinking alcohol or doing any drugs. I mean, I do a lot of praying, and I talk to my wife about certain things, but for as the alcohol and the drugs dealing with me, I'm only speaking for me. I hadn't got that far yet, but trust me, it's some things that I have seen that probably would drive the next person to drinking and driving. I mean, not drinking and driving, to drinking or either to drugs. But I thank God I hadn't made it to that. I hadn't been pushed to that limit yet. So I think, like I say, as of right now, for it's alcohol and drugs, I'm good.
Okay. And you, Officer Jenkins?
Yeah, I don't think we have in our department, even though our department is big, we know it's majority African Americans, you know. So we a lot of people do a lot of talking. I mean, we haven't had anybody. We had individuals with alcohol problems, but it's not necessarily related to work. It's because they do stuff think they're gonna get away because they police, per se.
Right.
Or they use drugs because they think they're gonna get away because they police. Like, you know, we had individuals sell drugs that's police. You know, like we had some crazy stuff happen. Like I was gonna say, I've seen so much stuff out here. Like, you know, saying from just, you know, homicides, you know, suicides, to natural deaths, to this craziness, man. Like, and like I said, I haven't had any issues that made me start drinking. Like I said, I actually started drinking less when I became a police officer because I was so focused on wanting to do a good job of where I was at. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, I use my outlet as with my wife and, you know, my dad, my mom. You know, I taught my brother because he a cop too. So we talk. You know, I use my positive outlets so I won't have to reflect back on using drugs or using alcohol in the wrong manner. Not saying that I don't drink alcohol, but not using it in the wrong manner, letting it get out of control. I'm at work drunk type of deal. No, I said we don't really have. I haven't met too many individuals in our job that has some problems. It becomes so often, and I see it so big. We have so much. Not say a lot of crime, but we have a good amount of crime. We're a big city that you see some stuff like okay, secondhand. Okay, like okay, here we go again with this. Somebody ain't got shot. Okay, they ain't make it. Okay. It's like it start being so natural. You come numb to it when you don't have a personal attachment to it per se. So when you don't, they tell you when I first started getting trained, they tell you don't take this job personal to the point where you gotta take it back home to your family. Don't you want to be a good officer, so it's gonna be somewhat personal, but you don't want to get so personal that you feel like and you love every individual you see laying down there on the ground or in a bad situation.
Right. So something happened in Thomasville, Alabama, not too long ago, where a guy was, I think this is the story from what I got. A guy was running from the police, and then he ended up killing a family. Then he ended up killing the mother, the daughter, and the grandmother. So a lot of people were blaming it on the police. Like, why are they chasing people when they knew they could have just got him? They had the tag number. They just could have, checked for him when to pick him up tomorrow or whatever. What is the protocol for that? Is there like a certain protocol, or do you just use common sense? I don't really know how that works. If you're you're chasing somebody, and if it's putting the public in danger, is that what y'all supposed to do? You supposed to do? You gotta catch them, or is it okay to say, you know what? Like, I got the tag number. I don't want to kill myself, and and I don't want to kill nobody else on the road. We just go pick his ass up in the morning. So how does that work?
I know for us, we have a lot of chases. Jefferson County Sheriff Department right there beside us. So our policy, we have a chase policy. It's basically if it's something severe, if it's immediate threat or danger right then and there, yes, we'll chase them. But it goes back to what you use, the word common sense. Mm-hmm. You have to have our policy written up. If you don't use that common sense, you don't use good judgment, it falls back on you. It be like, well, I'm gonna chase this person. If they going through inline traffic, running red lights, almost hit a school bus, you don't keep chasing them.
Right.
You don't keep chasing them. Because in the day, a lot of these criminals gonna do the same thing. You won't come across them again. I arrested people who got away from me, who I didn't chase. Like, it's all right. You had dude ran from me like 2 days ago. I already knew who he was. It's fine. I wouldn't sign the warrant the next day. No, I'm not about it. You gotta use common sense and reasonable sense about, is it really worth it? Like, and the issue we had within Birmingham, Jefferson County was on live PD. So they run through a lot of Jefferson County is the county wide. So they really above us. So they'll run through our county, chase behind people over minor stuff, a ticket like traffic, no seatbelt, and make them run, and then they cause an accident. Mm-hmm. We weren't big on that. I'm not about to chase you over something that's minor. It's not life or death.
Right.
Me personally, I have a conversation with my older brother that live in Maryland. We talk about it every day, every single day. We talk, and this subject comes up all the time about policing and everything. And to answer this question, it's real simple. I tell people this: policing is 99.9% of common sense. If you don't have common sense, I don't need you trying to police, because it's impossible. And like I said earlier, everybody, it ain't no sense of chasing nobody. Some people sometimes. I'm just gonna be honest, there's no sense. Like you said, if you know the person, it's real easy to just get the person, tag, or you already know who he is, wait till the next day, go in and sign a warrant, and go pick the guy up. But certain situations, yeah, you do chase, but then certain situations, you just got to step back and think about what you're doing and say, you know what, I catch that joker tomorrow. I'm not gonna kill myself. I'm not gonna let him kill nobody, because it's not even worth it. So policing, I tell everybody, if you're gonna police, if you ain't got common sense, don't even go try to put the uniform on, because 99% of policing, me personally, is common sense.
Okay. All right. Everybody saying, I see y'all over there saying, why can't you share? Share it after we come off of here, because I'm streaming from a software. I'm not streaming from like on Facebook's platform or anything like that. I'm streaming from a certain software. So that's why we live on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook right now. Okay. What is push up? Okay, this is what I want to ask. If you could change I guess maybe a law or a policy from where you're at in your jurisdiction, what would you change and why?
Wow. Now that's a good question.
Don't everybody get stuck now.
Something that I could change.
What would you change if you could change?
I think for me, it'd be, I wish how the law is for domestics. I wish there's more we can do for the victim within the scope of the law. You know, it's like we're limited to what we all can do domestic. Now, sometimes people think, well, you should be able to do this and third. When I go call, I tell people what my left and right limits are, so they won't get no false hope about what we can do. You know, it's like our hands are tied. Like, you know, it's only so much paperwork you can do for them. Like, you know, Joe came and beat his wife up. We put him out, put PFA, basically a protection order, you know what I'm saying, saying he can't come there. But we can't set the house 24/7, you know what I'm saying? We can't stop him. If he want to come back, he can come back. You know, and I feel like I wish it's more to keep people who deserve to stay in to be in. Like, you may have a Joe who got three or four cases of domestic violence with other women, and you know, this first instance with the female, there's no reason he should be able to get on bond. To me, I feel like he's considered a threat. I got female daughters, so I'm like, there's no reason that we're letting them out so easy, and he go back and beat up again or kill her next time he get out, and we could have prevented it by keeping them in the first go around.
Right. That makes sense, and that's a good one. What you think, Officer Bennett?
Wow. I mean, I'm still thinking. It's so when you talk about laws, it's so much out here that when you sit back and you look at it, you feel that it needs to be changed. I mean, for instance, like he was saying, the DV situation. I mean, as of right now, domestic violence is way up on the chart. I mean, that's something every department deal with on a daily basis. It's DV. But like he's saying, I mean, you get arrested, and 9 times out of 10, the court system just slapped you on the hand, and you right back out doing the same thing all over again. And then a lot of times it gets to the point where it's actually too late for the victim.
Right.
I mean, I think we just had an incident in Montgomery, I think today. Yeah. Just had an incident in Montgomery today. And actually, the female, I think she was in law enforcement.
Yeah, she was an officer detective for the Montgomery Police Department.
So I think Alabama needs to step back and look at DV all over again. Because I feel like, we need to have a harsher punishment for domestic violence.
We do.
Because
a lot of women end up getting killed.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then it's on department hands, because like, well, you know, you can't, people mad look at us like, well, you could did more, you should did more, but when the scope of the law set up, it's on so much we can do.
Right.
I tell people all the time, they're like, well, you know, I want you to do this. And I'm like, man, we can't. I tell you, I'll be lying to you if I say I can do something I can't.
Right.
Yeah,
I can drive around more. I can do this more. I do what the maximum. I use maximum effort on every call, so that person feels secure at least of what we can't do. And I give them plans of action, what they can use, they choose to or not. But that's still, I feel like it's still not good enough to me, because I feel like it should be more done. Because like I said, I've been on the call, dude. I had to tase the guy because he got violent with us. It was DV called strangulation, basically, and choked his wife. She blacked out. He's still there. He goes back to sleep. He comfortable with it. He goes back to sleep at the house. She has to sneak out the house and call us. We get there. That's his 4th time putting his hands on her. Even though she went back, I ain't gonna blame him because love make you do some crazy things. I ain't gonna blame the victim. I can't sit and pick and choose and tell you shouldn't be with him because only you know what's enough, and you don't know how much love you have for the individual. I tell him, I'm not gonna sit and play pointing fingers like you dumb for being here. I'm not. That's not my job. I'm here for your safety. And so got there, the guy, we tell him come outside and talk to us. He don't want to talk to us. We tell him stand up. He refuses to stand up. Then he gets up and get aggressive. Calls my partner a racist. And then it goes hands on, and we had to taste. And it shouldn't have even been to that point. He should never been out before.
Right. Okay. All right. That needs to be changed, because I done been in a little situation before. So if I wasn't the one getting beat, I was the beater. Dave,
I'm glad you're not in Marengo County, then.
They're back. I don't beat on nobody no more. I be trying to tell folks I don't do that no more. I don't beat on nobody. I used to whoop them in the ass back in the day. What is the real definition of community policing?
Community policing is, like I said, polices, and the community. What we need to do, we need to come together as one. We need to respect each other. I mean, it's certain things that police can do to ensure the community that we are actually doing things that are right. And on the other hand, the community should do things to actually let the police officer know that they really appreciate them. It's got to be a bond. It's got to be police officer and community. It got to be a marriage. We got to come as one. And like I said, until we come as with that one, it's gonna always be a problem. But if we come together as one, I think the community and police, I think everything will be fine. I think a lot of things that are going on in the world today, I think a lot of this stuff will just go away. But like I said, we got to come together as one and be one.
Right. Okay, we have a question from I don't know if it's Janae or Constance, or Will. I don't know who it is, but is there racial disparity within your police department? Is there like I guess maybe is there like maybe if are more white people promoted in the police department as compared to black people? Are there harsher consequences for black officers than there are for white officers? Like, and these questions are coming from the people that are on here watching, by the way. So somebody
we're coming up for our department. We got a new chief Smith in there. He been here he been as long as I've been here, just a little bit longer. So he came from California, LAPD. So he's a fair. He's fair. Him, deputy chief, over patrol. They fair. They straight across the board. If you're qualified for the job, no matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, green, blue, red, turquoise. If you qualify for the job, you've done what you're supposed to do. He's gonna promote you and put you in the right position. He fired a lot of people when he got here and shook the tree up from up top to down below, because the last chief that we had, and he was an African American guy, was promoting people who shouldn't get promoted.
Right.
So I don't think he was military, so it was a lot of people that should have been promoted. I don't even think it's really was about race. It's more so about favoritism. And I say it was about race. They said he'll do. I don't know personally. It's all the history of the department that I've talked to the older individuals. They're like, he'll punish a black officer before he'll punish a white officer. And they say he said that his mouth before. I don't know how much concrete behind there or not, but they say he'll basically the community, the citizen was always right in our old chief's eyes. So they ain't had no issue with community policing. That he always punished the officer first. Even citizens come and make a false statement on you getting days off.
Wow.
And so when we got the new chief, it been a collide between older officers because they so caught in the old chief ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they feel like, well, shoot, he lets us do this, he lets us that. We can do what we want to do and still get what we want. That's not that. They didn't stop that. They didn't stop it. So I guess to answer the question, it has been in our department, but it's changed since we got a new chief.
Okay. We have another question from Coco Brownlee. She says the officers of New York stated that they have a quota of how many people of certain nationalities that they had to target. They also stated that they were punished for not making the quota. Do you guys target a certain nationality? And is it true that officers have to make a certain quota by the end of the month? Like, you know, I think it's always been this thing where people have thought that when officers start just pulling over people for the smallest shit, it's like they have this quota that they have to meet. Is that true?
I never worked for a department where we had a quota. No. I mean,
We have requirements. Like, no, like I said, our new chief, we don't have quotas. Like, you know, people fail to understand so we may have a year, a month, say we're not writing a lot of tickets, or we're not making a lot of action on certain little paid things that we can. Like I tell you, the way the scope of the law written in Alabama, it's a lot of stuff we can do that we just don't do. It's all because of what society, what's going on nowadays. You know, the law is not so much upkept with what's going on in society. So most individual departments adapt to what we got and go off what they need for the community. So, you know, we having a lot of traffic infringements, you know what I'm saying? The chief may be like, hey, we need to go out here and hit this certain area a little harder when we hit the next area because we got people running through speed lights, hitting people with no insurance. So it's not necessarily a quota. The way we will police that area may be different month to month based on how to control that environment, how to control that certain area. So I won't say a quota. We have certain ways we adapt to policing to help minimize our crime. But it's not a quota though.
Okay. So you don't have a quota that you have to make so many tickets that you got to give out by the end of the month and all that kind of stuff.
No.
At least not in Alabama. Okay, we got a question from Periscope. Come on in, Scottish Dave 1. Scottish Dave 1 says, is there a difference in your attitude when working in a white neighborhood from a black one?
Me personally, I'm not gonna say it's a different with my attitude. Like I said, when I go to a call or whatever, I arrive at the scene. I try to treat everybody like people. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain incidents where the use of force where you have to stay a step above the situation that you're dealing with. Yeah. Some black communities you go in, sometimes it's gonna be laid back. They're gonna give you everything that you're asking for. Then it's gonna be sometimes that you go in and then you're not gonna get nothing at all. And it is vice versa. It's sometimes I deal with the white community where I go in, everything I ask for, snap of a finger, they're giving it to me. And then it's gonna be the certain times that you go in where a person just don't want to deal with you. People just don't want to deal with the police at all. So yeah, it's not that. I don't think you would call it an attitude. I call it is the way that you have to adapt to the situation, because like I said, every situation is gonna be different. Every call is different, even though it might be the same charge in some cases, but every charge is gonna be different. Every situation is gonna be different. Some gonna be a little different in every situation, regardless of whether it's black or white. It's something gonna be a little different. And like I said, you're gonna have good days in the black neighborhood, you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have good days in the white neighborhood, just as well as you're gonna have bad days in the white neighborhood. So the attitude, no, I'm not gonna say attitude. Just be prepared for the situation in hand. That's the way I look at it.
Right. I think it's just a matter of when you go in the black, if you go in the hood and you where the OGs at and you know where the dope boys be at and all that shit, you ain't gonna go in there telling me something. Well, how are you guys doing today? Officer Benny, I'm here. You gonna go in there, hey, What up? What up, bro? What's all out here doing? You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna go, you go over there to them niggas, tell me something. How are you today, sir? You know, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood and all that bullshit. You gonna have to get the fuck on from around there. So I understand certain you have to be a chameleon depending on where you're at. You know, just like you're not going to go in a white neighborhood like, what up, blood? What up, folk? You know what I'm saying? What up, bro? You're gonna go in there like that. But if they are those type of people, then you kind of shift to make those people feel comfortable. But
right. And what you said, it hit the nail on the head. That would go down to, it's not necessarily add to you. You have to be adaptive to, like how I talk when I go to a certain neighborhood, certain part of town. It's not just racial profile. It's, you know how that town is. Individuals dealing with people who got a little bit more money, or you know what I'm saying, your demeanor. Like I said, I'm gonna be a little bit more professional in how my mannerism is. Professionalism a little bit different if I go to the projects where I normally work at. I could be more myself in the projects because that's how they adapt. That's how they respond better to me being laid back.
Right.
How I talk to them. But when I go to the other neighborhood, Crestwood, or other part of town was more Caucasian population, more money per se. My demeanor is a little bit different. You got to try to do stuff. Yeah, not saying I don't do stuff the right way. Now you like I said, you got to adapt to how like Dave said, how it is, but they don't sleep on them thinking they don't do as much stuff we do too.
Oh, they do.
You know what I'm saying? You got some officers that may feel like they're going, oh man, we ain't got to worry about them. But then they told you out the frame with breaking the vehicles and stealing stuff and their white counterparts.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Let me see if we got any more questions up in here because okay. Lori, while Lori all in y'all business, Lori said, what percentage make up the Masons in y'all precinct? Lori, you is getting deep, honey. You trying to get deep in the goddamn business.
Me personally, I don't know. I don't know who's in my department as part of that organization. I really don't know. I know personally I'm not. So I can't speak for nobody else. So I don't know.
Officer Jenkins?
I think we got Mason wise. I'm not Mason. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated. I'm Greek, but we have I want to say we got a handful. I want to say at least about 7 or 8 Masons at my precinct. Department wide, not sure, but I know my precinct. We've roughly like 120 of us at my precinct alone. And about 7-ish, 8-ish, I think I know for a fact from Masons.
Okay. I know a lot of Masons. How often are officers truly reprimanded for detaining the wrong person and that person gets harmed? What actions are taken against the officer? Because a lot of times it's the wrong person.
Repeat that question again.
So I'm gonna put it where you can see it. So Coco asks, how often are officers truly reprimanded for detaining the wrong person and that person gets harmed? Okay, case in point, Breonna Taylor. They came in her house, they busted in, and they went up in there, they started shooting, and they was shooting in her house and killed her, and the person that they was looking for didn't live there. There was the wrong address, and the person they was looking for was already in police custody. So if there's an incident like that, I guess I would want to kind of rephrase your question, Coco, a little bit. I want to know, why is it, or is that just policy? Why, when it's a clear-cut case of wrongdoing, why is the officer still allowed to go on a paid vacation, because it's basically what it is, until they do their investigation, when it's like clear-cut, y'all went there, y'all had the wrong address. This is not the address on the paper. Wrong address. Y'all went there, y'all done blowed this lady brains out, and you shouldn't never even been in her house. So how is it? That's something that I would change if I could. You know, kind of like when you go to work. I mean, kind of like when you be on probation for a job or something. I don't know, but as far as like I think that should be changed. If you've been accused of murdering somebody or some type of wrongdoing, and it's really clear cut, I don't know why they get to get a paid vacation. But if we do it, we're gonna be straight in jail.
So the department, they gotta they gotta be neutral. They have to look at the whole perspective. For like you getting the officer involved, shooting or any type of situation that needs to be investigated. Everything you do, if it's something serious, they're going to be investigated. So they have it's the protocol that everybody, certain people who have to look at it and be involved in it. So otherwise, you're on paid leave, administrative leave till their fine is done. The department still has to do right by the officer, or they can be sued by the officer, and then the officer have his job back and be still policing. So you want to make sure the department has to take care of the department itself, make sure they're doing right as a whole by both individuals. Even if it's a clear cut, they're wrong. They still got to do it. Their policy, what the state Alabama deem necessary for when they investigate officer involved, shooting, whatnot, and third, they have to go through a full telescope of things to do before they can make their final decision on criminal charges or termination or employment. So, like I said, as far as Breonna Taylor, they department policy allowed a no-knock warrant. So they necessarily weren't wrong, even though they were wrong at the end of the day. Them no knocking in the house, even though it's the wrong house, their policy made that mistake happen. So now they rewrote that, they stopped that. But it led one situation, which led from that one thing, led to the guy, her boyfriend shooting at the officers and defending himself, which caused her to get shot. So if they would never had that not warrant searching, it'd been like, okay, maybe it wouldn't happen. But again, sometimes you work narcotics or in certain small departments, we have some things they have in place for a reason, because it help get a criminal. But you can't. It's one of them things like, well, it's called Monday night quarterback in policing. Who would say if they wouldn't have did it, if anything wrong would have happened that same night?
Okay. Officer Bennett.
Yeah, like he was saying, it goes back to you. It goes back to your policy. I mean, you just because, like he's saying, I mean, you go in, it could be clear cut, but the department is still reliable for that officer, even though that officer is clear cut, he did wrong or whatever. Like he's saying, you just can't say, you know what? Well, I'm through with you. You made this mistake, this on you, so we just gonna hang you out here in the dry. But no, the department have to take care of its own. So that's the reason that in incidents like this, most officers get paid while they're off after a situation like this. So yeah, you got to still take care of your officer, even though the officer made a mistake.
Okay. Well, do y'all have anything else that y'all want to say about bridging this gap? Bridging this gap between the police and the community?
Yeah. So as a citizen, you have a job to do just like we do. It takes both sides. You have to be a good citizen, just like we got to be a good officer.
Yeah.
And I think people get mistaken. Oh, I pay your salary. Well, I'm a taxpayer too, so I pay my own salary. So we're not going to use that as a reason to feel like you can do what you want to do. But at the same time, you have to be a good citizen. Just do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Do the right thing as a citizen. You have a responsibility that you're charged with as a citizen, as well as us as officers. So don't think it's a one-way street. Right. And I think when we get that understanding, you know what I'm saying, it makes stuff a lot easier on both ends. This same time, if you have questions like what you're doing now, people have the right, they can do it. They can stop as officer and ask the question, like, hey, if they're unsure. And then as an officer, they shouldn't be scared to answer the question either, because that helps bridge the gap. Because a lot of times the issue we're having now is people don't know because they just don't know. It's not because they're not trying to know, they just don't know. So the misunderstanding of being ignorant to what policies and regulations and what our officer training entails, it's misunderstood because people think everybody across the board has the same type of training. We go through the same type of situation. We have the same type of laws, which is not the case. So I think once that's understood, that makes the gap bridge a little bit harder and everybody can be on one page.
Okay. Officer Bennett?
Me personally, people look at police officer. Well, as a police officer, we're part of this group that we call like first responders.
Right.
90% of the time, we arrive there after the situation that happened. Without the community and law enforcement working together, trust me, it's a lot of things that's not gonna get solved. I mean, I wake up and I put my pants on one leg at a time. I'm human being just like the next person is human being. Just because I'm a police officer, that don't make me better than you, don't make me less than you. I tell everybody, if you treat people with respect and treat people as people, everything gonna be all right. I mean, just because I'm a police officer, that don't mean I know everything. And that don't mean I'm right all the time. But if you can communicate with each other, respect each other, I don't think it would be a gap. I think everything would all come together. And that we got to realize, people got to realize is I'm a human being. I got feelings. I got a family. I make mistakes. So that being said, is just as well as you make a mistake and commit a crime, I can make a mistake as well. So don't think, well, just because he's a police officer, hey, he got to be right. No, that's not true. I mean, I'm a human being just like everybody else.
Officers don't even know the policies or don't even know the laws.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, it's just it always goes back to that respect thing. It's community respect the police and police respect the community. Hey, the gap it's been bridged right there, and that's the way I think it need to be.
All right. Okay, y'all. Are y'all a part of the group called the NFAC? No, Lord, they not. They ain't part of the new black revolutionary militia. Child ain't. But I just want to tell you guys, I'm glad y'all came on here. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on here, and thanks so much for the conversation. And thanks so much for answering a lot of people's questions. And I think that this conversation that we had is going to put a lot of people's minds at ease. And it's also, this interview will also let them see that all cops are not bad. These two right here, this is family. They know how to act because we was raised. Different. We was raised right. So I just want to tell y'all, thank y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming on here. I am very proud that these are my folks and they good, upstanding, law-abiding citizens, and I love y'all. And y'all know I'm here on somebody's business, child.